There is something far more dangerous than betrayal, more dangerous than lies, and even more dangerous than abandonment. It is when a married man awakens a part of a woman that he never intended to protect, a part of her that, once opened, cannot be easily closed again. When a woman allows herself to feel safe enough to unfold, to reveal what she keeps guarded from the rest of the world, she is not just sharing her time or her body, she is sharing the most intimate essence of who she is. And when that moment happens with someone who is already committed elsewhere, it carries a weight that neither of them can fully measure in the beginning. Carl Jung once said that what we awaken in another person becomes a part of our shared responsibility. But the truth is, not every man is prepared for that, especially a married man, because what might begin as connection, comfort, or curiosity can quickly turn into an emotional awakening so powerful that it changes the very architecture of her inner world. A married man who steps into that space may not even realize what he is doing at first. Perhaps he is seeking validation, or escape, or a momentary reprieve from the demands of his reality. But to her, it can feel like the universe finally sends someone who sees her without filters, who listens without distraction, who touches her soul instead of just her skin. And in that moment, something dangerous happens. She begins to trust, she begins to believe, she begins to build a future in her mind, even if she knows, logically, that his life is already intertwined with someone else's. The most dangerous thing a married man can do is to awaken her soul without the intention of staying to honor what he has awakened, because it is not the loss of the man that wounds her the most, it is the loss of the safety she felt in being fully herself. Safety is the soil where trust grows, and once that soil is torn up, planting anything new feels impossible. When he leaves, or even when he stays, but retreats emotionally, she is left with an echo of herself that feels incomplete. She remembers the way she laughed with him. She remembers the way her words flowed without hesitation. She remembers feeling alive in a way she hadn't for years, and she will spend countless nights trying to understand how something so profound could be treated so casually. Jung's psychology teaches us that these experiences are not just emotional events, they are psychic imprints. They shape the way we see love, the way we measure intimacy, and the way we protect ourselves in the future. For a woman, this kind of awakening is like opening a door inside her that can never be locked again. And yet, without the one who opened it, she is left to wander through rooms she does not know how to fill. This is why relationships with married men often leave a unique kind of scar. It is not always about moral judgment or societal rules. It is about the collision of intimacy and impossibility, about feeling deeply seen and deeply unseen at the same time. It is about the way hope can grow even in places where it has no sunlight. For many women, the danger is not in the love itself, but in the aftermath. The way it reshapes her standards, the way it teaches her to expect depth, even when depth is rare, the way it quietly convinces her that no one else will ever understand her like he did. The reality is, some married men do not consider the full consequence of their presence in a woman's life. They may think they are only borrowing her time, sharing moments, offering affection within limits, but to her, every glance, every message, every lingering pause becomes a thread in a tapestry she didn't know she was weaving until it's too late to stop. The most dangerous thing, then, is not the relationship itself, but the shift it causes. Inside her, once she has tasted a version of herself that is braver, softer, and more alive, she cannot return to who she was before. And if he is not there to help her grow into this new self, she is forced to carry the weight of it alone. There is a kind of cruelty in giving someone a glimpse of paradise and then reminding them they were never meant to live there. It's not always intentional. Sometimes it is just the nature of human longing. We crave connection. We find it in unexpected places. And then we realize the cost only after the bond is too deep to sever cleanly. For her, this can trigger an identity crisis. She might question whether the version of herself she became with him was real or just a fantasy. She might replay conversations in her mind, looking for signs that he cared as much as she did. She might wonder if she will ever be that open, that vibrant, or that unguarded again. And this is where the deepest danger lies. Because if she decides that kind of openness only leads to loss, she may close herself off for years. She may enter new relationships with walls so high that no one can scale them. She may confuse self-protection with self-isolation. Carl Jung believed that we are shaped by both what we experience and what we avoid. If this experience teaches her to avoid intimacy, she loses not only him, but also parts of herself that she might never reclaim. When a married man steps into a woman's heart, he is stepping into sacred ground. If he is careless with it, the echoes of that carelessness can last for a lifetime. And while he may walk away unchanged, she walks away carrying something she never asked for, the burden of remembering who she was when she felt safe enough to be fully alive. Before we go further, if someone ever awakened a part of you they never meant to protect, the Jung method can help you understand why and protect your heart while staying true to yourself. Link in the first comment. When we talk about the danger a married man can bring into a woman's life, we are not only talking about external consequences, we are talking about the way it rewires her internal world. In the quiet moments, she may begin to question what love really is. She may wonder if the tenderness she felt with him was unique, or if she could ever feel it again. This is the silent ripple effect, the change that happens in her without anyone else noticing. For some women, this awakening brings out a confidence they didn't know they had. For others, it brings vulnerability that feels like exposure. And yet, whether it feels empowering or frightening, it is a transformation that cannot be reversed. That is why it is dangerous, because transformation without stability is like a bridge half built. You are already far from where you started, but you have no safe way to reach the other side. A married man often carries two realities, the one he lives at home, and the one he creates with her. In that second reality, he might be attentive, passionate, and fully present, and she begins to crave that space. She begins to crave him not just for what he gives her, but for the way she becomes when she is with him. This is not about dependence in the traditional sense. It is about identity. She starts to link her most alive self to his presence, and when he pulls away, it feels like losing herself. Carl Jung spoke often about the anima and animus, the feminine and masculine energies that exist within all of us. When a married man awakens a woman's anima in its fullest form, it feels like she is finally meeting herself at the deepest level. But if he leaves, that inner connection can turn into a haunting. She knows that version of herself exists, but she no longer knows how to reach it without him. This is why so many women who have experienced this kind of relationship describe it as both the most beautiful and the most painful chapter of their lives. The beauty is in the connection, the pain is in the absence that follows, and the danger is in the fact that the absence can feel bigger than the presence ever was. Some women, after such an experience, go on to create extraordinary lives. They take that awakening and build something lasting from it. They use it as fuel to deepen their self-understanding, to pursue passions, to demand more from future relationships. Others retreat inward, becoming more guarded, less willing to take emotional risks. The path she chooses often depends on whether she sees the experience as a gift or as a theft. But here is the truth. Even if she calls it a theft, she still carries a piece of it with her. She may try to bury it, to convince herself that it was a mistake, to rewrite the story so it hurts less. Yet, in quiet moments, it comes back, not always in the form of longing for him, but in the form of longing for the version of herself she was when she felt most alive. The danger is that she might believe that version of herself can only exist with him. That is where the healing work becomes essential. She must learn that the woman she became in his presence was always hers to begin with. He may have been the catalyst, but he was never the source. The source was inside her all along. Carl Jung believed that every relationship is a mirror, reflecting parts of ourselves that we might never see otherwise. The problem with mirrors is that when they are taken away, we sometimes forget the reflection was ours. She must reclaim her reflection. She must realize that what she felt was not borrowed from him, it was awakened within her by him, and therefore it belongs to her. This realization is powerful because it removes the illusion that he holds the key to her wholeness. It allows her to step forward without waiting for closure from someone who may never give it. It turns the dangerous awakening into a self-chosen rebirth, yet the temptation to return to him, even in thought, can be strong. Memory can be selective, painting the past with the colors of longing while leaving out the shadows. That is why it is dangerous for her to dwell too long in what was, rather than create what can be. If she continues to feed the memory, she risks living in a story that ended long ago, while her present and future remain unwritten. In Jungian terms, this is the shadow, the parts of ourselves we refuse to see clearly. For her, the shadow may be the truth that he was never really hers, or that his words were shaped by his own needs, rather than a commitment to her growth. Facing that shadow is painful, but it is the only way to integrate the experience without letting it define her. Once she faces the shadow, something shifts. She begins to separate the man from the meaning. She stops asking why he didn't choose her, and starts asking why she stopped choosing herself. This is when the danger begins to fade, because the most dangerous thing a married man can do to her is not breaking her heart. It is making her believe she cannot be whole without him. Once she breaks that belief, the power returns to her hands. And here is the most unexpected truth. Sometimes the most dangerous awakenings are also the ones that lead to the deepest self-discovery. If she chooses to see it that way, she can use the pain as a compass, guiding her toward a life where she never again gives away the safety of being fully herself. The story doesn't have to end with loss. It can end with her understanding that she was never incomplete, only unaware of how much she already carried within her. And that is something no married man, no matter how powerful his presence, can take away. Asterisk healing from the impact of a married man's presence is not about erasing him from memory. It is about reclaiming the pieces of yourself that you may have handed over without realizing it. At first, this can feel impossible. The memories are sharp, the emotions raw, and the sense of loss heavy. But with time, distance, and conscious choice, you begin to notice the quiet ways your life starts to feel like your own again. You begin to wake up without the weight of wondering if you will reach out. You start to enjoy moments without the shadow of what they would have meant if you were there. You remember that you once laughed without needing his voice to make it happen. These are small victories, but they matter more than you think. There comes a day when you realize that what you miss most is not him, but the way you allowed yourself to be when you were with him. That version of you, open, passionate, alive, is not gone. She's waiting for you to invite her back into your own life. This time, not for someone else's gaze, but for your own fulfillment. Carl Jung believed that the greatest journey is the one inward, and this is where the real transformation happens. You stop looking for him in other people. You stop comparing new connections to the one you had with him. Instead, you start creating experiences that give you that same sense of aliveness, friendships, projects, dreams that have nothing to do with him. Slowly, the story changes. He becomes a chapter, not the entire book. The dangerous awakening becomes a turning point rather than a permanent wound. And the most powerful truth of all emerges. You are always enough. He may have been the spark, but you are the flame.